The Epistle to the Galatians is perhaps the most remarkable of Paul's existing letters that have made it down to us through time, inasmuch as the apostle seems at times wroth with the Galatians or Gauls of a Roman district that may or may not have been Celts. If these churchgoers were actual Gauls, it might be a good idea to change the word galaxy to something else, such as Nuragi, in order that we not seem to encourage a bad end along with the universe in some sort of apocalypse. Galatians 3:1, quote, O foolish Galatians, who hath bewitched you that ye should not obey the truth, before whose eyes Jesus Christ hath been evidently set forth crucified among you, unquote. That may well have been the Gnostic mistake. It does happen that what is wisdom to man is foolishness to God. Philo of Alexandria presented most of the Gnostic metaphysical paradigm before the crucifixion of the Lord in 30 A.D. John may well have encountered those ideas and followers in Ephesus. It is possible that the Gnostic heretical field of scholarship wasn't terribly well received in Jerusalem, either thus exporting the pursuit of the Gnostic topic to Antioch, Ephesus, and elsewhere. Religion was a hot issue, yet received with a modicum of tolerance. Gnosticism in the first century may have camouflaged itself within the garb of traditional Judaism, better even than Christianity for a time, socially speaking. Gnostics were people thought of as regarding themselves as having deeper metaphysical knowledge of reality than ordinary people. Some claim that Jesus was actually a Gnostic traveler, a sort of astral projector, perhaps to other planes of existence around this universe. It is still a tempting yet silly doctrine of the late-night eccentric radio shows that, along with Bigfoot and extraterrestrials. Christian disputes with Gnostics were occurring because Gnostics tended to believe in a dualism such that the material world is evil and was made by an evil demiurge. While some might regard original sin in a fallen universe of thermodynamics instead of eternal spiritual perfection as another way of saying that the practical consequences of belief are substantial, Gnostics tended to deny Jehovah as the true God and the sacrifice of Jesus Christ to overcome sin. The Emanationists simplified for Christian practical purposes to let there be light. Theories of Gnostics are, however, coincident with at least some aspects of logical insight into the nature of the material universe, such as the Big Bang, inflaton, or even a cyclical universe expanding and flowing through a thermodynamic process. Paradoxically, those that believe the universe had no real beginning, just a proximal one, such as time equals zero, located at a temporal hourglass, very small singularity before an oppositely sequenced pre-universe shrinking down in scale, share the idea with Christians that all things that exist ultimately are based in the eternal, with temporality being expressions of phases within eternity. At this point, though, physical cosmology hasn't thought terribly deeply into physical reality and temporality of a multiverse within an eternal context, replete with conservation of energy. Paul, as a student of Gamaliel, might have been somewhat learned himself in Jewish mysticism. Philo of Alexandria was marginally mainstream and perhaps not unknown to Jewish theology training centers. By the time of the 3rd century, Plotinus, a famous student of Ammonius Saccas, developed a beautiful, logically satisfying, mystic, theologically simplified cosmology that is similar in many respects to contemporary cosmological paradigms, including origin from a singularity or one, En Sof, the ineffable infinite, and universal forms acceptable to Plato and quantum mechanics. It is a bit of a paradox that the mysterious spiritual Kabbalah shares with Mohammedanism the term for spirit, Ka, that the Egyptians used, as well as Ba, or shelter. Hence one gets the spirit house, or Ka-Ba, such as at Mecca, and the Ka-Ba-Allah, going even further in honor of a transcending spirit. The spirit house of Mecca existed long before Mohammed's syncretistic enterprise. The danger of simply becoming intellectually lost as an individual self-standing within the created material world is a danger that Lucifer succumbed to. Since everything exists and one may reason within the given steady-state field, or any existing alternate spiritual field, there's a temptation for the ego to alienate itself from the transcendent God and the opportunity to renormalize from sin in the contingent field of being and try to exist forever as a contingent being, or even a nearly omnipotent contingent being without God and even a false consciousness denying his existence. That effort is in disregard to the actual facts of being, that God is all in all, and the Son is the sole way to renormalize the estranged by sin relationship of a human being. A generic emanationist paradigm for cosmological origin of quanta of any sort from a state, void and without form, requires some emanation of virtual quanta or protoparticles, strings, membranes, etc., from an existing field containing or heteronymous with the void. Math isn't theoretically of much help in describing the non-dimensional, infinite, indivisible field that emanates with quantum uncertainty, perhaps on occasion into a void. Mathematics represents some form of a coordinate system, even theoretical ones with scalable dimensions. Without coordinates or quanta, it would be challenging to use math references to describe one infinite field with all possible dimensions unactualized prior to emanating into a formless void. Theological contemplation might be easier, although it's better and simpler to recognize Jesus Christ as the only way to understand God, who contains the one field engendering any potential or actual universe. Ultimately, Plotinus's paradigm is mostly a successful horseshoe toss approximation of the theosophical state of the cosmos without either modern technical description or information about how to be saved from the fallen realm of material imperfect forms that is the world. Living a couple centuries after the Lord, he may have felt that wasn't his role. The age was philosophically confused enough, and just the canonized Bible, such as the Muratorian fragment provided, was a plain and accurate guide to eternity.